Whenever.
Good evening. Welcome everybody to our meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, second by Councillor Corbett, that this meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. The adoption of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor McGuinness, that the agenda presented to council and dated the 11th day of March 2022 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof?
So 9A5.
5.
9A5, correct.
Do you already filled the paper yet?
Yes, I have the form and everything.
Okay. Next, we have the adoption of previous minutes. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, second by Councillor Corbett, that the minutes of the regular and special council meetings of February 25th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the presentation from DSAB, District of Nipissing Social Services Administration Board presentation, housing targets, and we'd like to welcome Adam Manella.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invite. Just give me a second to put my PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you for understanding technical difficulties.
Yes, I understand it. No. So yeah, Bonfield Township housing targets. The DSAB did housing targets for each municipality. I'm very excited to share this with you. Bonfield is growing and Bonfield needs housing. So that's a good thing, and I'm happy to be here to help. The housing targets were developed by SHS Consulting, which is the same organization that did our housing supply needs study, which came out a couple months prior to this one. Please flip your slide. The goal of the study was to create housing targets for individual municipalities and unincorporated areas within the district. These targets were developed by using population and household projections for the municipalities while considering the existing housing in each community. This study follows the housing needs and supply study, which I mentioned, and was approved in April of 2024. The three things that this allows us to do is assist with advocacy efforts, support funding applications, and align future housing developments with the housing needs. The methodology we used in SHS Consulting used was population projections. They used the cohort survival projection method, which essentially is average births with average deaths, and that's how they come to that number. Household projections were calculated using the previously developed population projections and historical trends for household sizes in each geography. The household projections were calculated by forecasting trends for the average number of people per household and applying those to the population projections. These forecasts incorporate shifting trends in household size throughout Nipissing over a period of time. Next was the dwelling projections. For each geography were calculated by incorporating the associated rates and dwelling sizes, which is the dwelling by number of bedrooms, for each of the household projected in the municipality or the unincorporated areas into the future. The fourth methodology used was the housing target, utilizing the dwelling projections by income decile and the selected affordability thresholds. The number of total dwellings required for each affordability level is determined by the number of bedrooms for each specific municipality. The key considerations in this housing target document is that the projections and targets developed for the study represent the total demand for ideal housing stock. And that's ideal in the sense that it houses everybody with their needs, their housing needs in place. So if you needed a 2-bedroom, you have a 2-bedroom, not a 3-bedroom, essentially. Current household trends skew the demand towards larger units throughout Nipissing. And affordability may vary throughout municipalities. Data limitations. The sense of data limitations where robust statistics are gathered every 5 years. So the next one will be 2026. So we went back the last 4. Small municipalities may be impacted by data suppression and random rounding. And the last census in 2021 was impacted by COVID, as we all know, the public health measures and the CERB as a temporary household income. So that has a bit of a limitation to it. Population and household projections. As you can see, Bonfield population projection is 2,678 and projected households is 1,207, which is needed by 2035. So in the next 10 years. So, Bonfield came in 4th in that projection. So a lot of growth. The population projections included in this report estimated a population for the district to reach approximately 86,379 by 2035, which was an increase of 3.3% annually from 2021 levels. Recent federal government immigration policy changes have been incorporated into these projections. And these projections are consistent with current trends in the Northern Ontario setting. So it was used for population in Northern Ontario. You switch to the municipal housing targets for 2035. As you can see, Bonfield needs RGI units of 20, which RGI is rent geared to income. Affordable units are 22. Affordable home ownership is 24, for a total of 66. Within these projections completed for this study, the district of Nipissing expected to grow to 41,023 households, which is 0.9% annual growth from 2021. And that obviously goes to 2035. New RGI units make up 3.7% of the total projected dwellings required in 2035. And new affordable dwellings account for 11.3% of the total projected dwellings. So for Bonfield Township, RGI units make up 1.7 for the township of the total projected dwellings required by 2035. Increases are predominantly 1 to 2 bedroom units. Affordable rental and ownership ended up being 3.8% of the total projected dwellings. And market housing included both rental and ownership account for 94.2% of the projected housing supply need here in Bonfield. Okay, Bonfield Township, their population projections, growth of 1.8%, which was up from 2021, needing an additional 533 individuals by 2035. Bonfield's housing projections were expected to rise by 2.6%. The proportion of owner households was also expected to increase in 2035. Dwelling projection increases in 1 and 2 bedroom households, as I mentioned, but there's also a need for more households of 3 or more people, as this also grew during this period. And as mentioned, 94.2% of the income deciles above 60% and 5.8% in the 60th percentile or lower. So study applications, it will help us to inform developments. The targets will help to determine required unit sizes and geographical areas. It will help with advocacy efforts. The data and targets contained in the study will greatly assist in advocacy efforts by quantitatively showing a need for development and for funding applications. We've noticed a lot recently that several funding opportunities that are now coming out are requiring these types of housing targets. And this study will help the DSAP and the municipalities with meeting the requirements of these funding programs. Municipal funding opportunities. The slide just shows obviously a limited amount of the funding opportunities that are out there. I put some of the ones that are here on continuous intake, including a lot of the CMHC suites, which go a long way to help with their seed fundings and trying to get these started. If you ever need anything from me or you need any of my assistance to help through those funding, they're very lengthy processes, as I'm sure you can imagine. I can help you with the feasibility and the viability of these projects. I'm working with local developers all the time to try to build these housing. There's 6,166 units needed by 2035 in the entirety of the district. So I got my work cut out for myself, as we all do. So anything you need, you flip over. There's my card. There's also my colleague Tyler, who runs some of the programs, including our ADU program. We're looking at a modular home ownership, which I talked to Nikki about. Just a cheaper, faster way to build for home ownership. It does. We're looking at getting lands to put these on, so that's a program we're starting to pilot, and we're looking at a home conversion pilot project too. So if there are larger homes that might be able to be turned into four units, 1 or 2 bedrooms or bachelors even, that's something we're also looking at. So those are 3 programs. Tyler would probably be able to speak better to those ones, but yeah, please feel free to reach out at any time with your development needs. And that's the housing targets. I'm very excited. Bonfield's growing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Do you have questions?
I don't actually.
Well, I have a question. Do you take demographics into consideration at all? Is that part of the study or?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, they did, they took in a lot of the immigration policies and the immigration flows into Northern Ontario. So a lot of those demographics were
I'm just thinking
We're
about
done.
family size or.
family size. Yeah, they did
seniors.
it by deciles, like income deciles.
Okay,
And then they kind of incorporated that into the bedroom sizes. So they
Right.
kind of did it by bedroom size.
yeah, this is a really timely because we're just looking at doing our housekeeping bylaws so that ADUs are now, what we're discussing. So this information is going to be really helpful for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I was speaking to Nikki about
Mhm.
the ADU program, and
Mhm.
even though the DSAP has one, there's no issue with the township having their own and kind of partnering with that, just make more.
Mhm.
Because that's what we're here for, is to just make more heads.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No,
Do you have any questions? No? Steve?
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
I just want to add to Adam's presentation. that our targeting houses mean that in the next 10 years, we need to grow by 127 households. And in the last 10 years, we've only grown by 87 households. So this is substantial growth, even from what we've achieved already. And then as Adam was alluding, there are grant applications that do put targets on this. So we have to answer when we apply for those grants, what our targets are and how are we achieving them. And that feeds into our ADU and our new policies under the new housekeeping bylaw as well. So it kind of all goes together and fits very well.
So we will apply for the funding and it'll go through the municipality.
Well, any funding that we did, even when we did the funding for Development Road, for the road construction project, we had to say how it helps impact our housing targets. So at the time, the study wasn't done and we didn't have housing targets. So we just projected based on our own growth. So these are much higher numbers than what we projected, but they look at those the housing targets, and they look at what project you do and how that's going to get you those housing targets. So I think we're in a better position having the housing targets identified, but we're also, a situation where how do we achieve that number? So in the last 10 years, we have not achieved that number. So we have to grow faster. We have to have the mechanisms and the planning in place to allow us to go faster so that we can apply for those grants. It's about positioning the municipality.
Okay,
Yeah.
any more
And
questions?
Adam's been great. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, and anytime, please reach out. A lot of the time, these applications ask for a letter of support from the DSAP. I'm getting very good at writing that. Anything I can do to help, I'm happy to help. Let's just create some housing.
Okay, thank you
Perfect,
very
perfect.
much for your presentation.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Next we have the question period.
I believe Mr. Shepherd is here to ask his question.
My apologies, man. I'm not really good at socially speaking, but I'll do my best here. So I put a note down here. Madam Paquette and members of the council, I'm not only here for myself, but the members of Bonnfield, as it come to my understanding that the community is about to pass a new public economic policy. This policy was brought to your attention in an attempt to pass in a short period of 4 days. My question is simple. One, which, if any, neighboring communities have looked at this, implemented this policy, which I've also done my research as well too. Two, if council is still considering implementing these policies, and when. Three, why are we implementing a conduct policy for residents of Bonnfield when we don't even have a conduct policy implemented for our own building officials, which is required by law. As well too, now looking at the district of Nipissing coming in here, is this an outcome of why we starting to pass these laws? Because we're starting to take more people in here. Like, I feel insulted that you guys are pretty much looking at locking your doors and, not letting us have a voice. This is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be an open community. We're supposed to love each other. We're supposed to be Bonnfield, not be Bonnfield, I came back here to my roots, and I want my roots to be what my roots were. If you understand.
Okay, on the 24th, we're going to, you're talking about the policy, right?
Just a policy, just a
And-
business. I only brought it for this policy. If I have other issues, I'll bring it again, other issues next time. So
Okay,
strictly on this.
and can you tell me again the question, because you've asked 1 and 2.
My question was strictly just sitting on, because I want to know what your policy is going to be on this with the public conduct policy. I want to know what you guys are looking at implementing, whether you're going to lock your doors, tell us, everything, you can only come in through meeting or anything else. We can't walk through doors, or you just have town meetings where we can't sit at town meetings, or we know nothing about this policy. So I'm trying to reach out to find out what you guys are talking about, what you're looking at, and where we're sitting on with that. Because that, to me, that's a big concern.
Well,
The 2-minute time limit is up.
okay. So somebody has to answer this question, and what we have, I'm going to say when the question came at the last council meeting, I certainly agree that the staff or anybody should be protected from any abuse or I wanted to talk more about it. We received the policy and then we didn't have time to discuss it. So we have a meeting on March 24th and it's the corporate services meeting. And we're going to discuss the policy. Everybody will get the opportunity, council will get the opportunity to discuss what their issues are with it. And I think we could probably think more about what you're asking now. I'm not sure what the answer is for this.
And that's understandable. We're just like being educated. And I apologize, making my 2 minutes I spoke was not complete 2 minutes. It was her responding and asking me a question back, but I respect the time limit. I respect the council. Thank you very much, Madam Paquette.
Okay, I'd like to tell you if you want to talk further on it at any time, I don't mind.
I would love to.
If you want to meet, I can meet here or any council member can meet with you
That sounds amazing.
during
Thank
the
you very much.
evening.
Yeah, I
Okay.
All
appreciate
of our cards are at the front there with our cell phone numbers.
that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you very much.
Next we have staff report from the planning administrator who's giving the report.
You can vote.
Oh,
we can
Alex.
tag team it.
Okay.
So the University of Waterloo offers a interdisciplinary capstone project, Future Cities Initiative, which has been designed as an opportunity for fourth-year undergraduate students attending the University of Waterloo to represent diverse disciplines, to work in collaboration with municipal staff, and to tackle complex challenges with a focus on community-based projects. So between myself and mostly Simon, we've reached out to a liaison with the University of Waterloo to discuss further having students work remotely, to discuss such things as future drainage plans, kind of go over the floodplains, past issues that we've had in town, like with the drainage on Yonge and Church Street and so forth. Essentially what we were looking into doing was moving forward with this pilot project with the students. So they'd be working remotely based solely off CGIS. They'd have communication with myself, Nikki, as well as Simon, to reach out for any information that they need. We've also touched on other issues such as reducing the damage to public and private property, retaining and reducing surface water runoff, minimizing the effects of flash flooding, preventing surface water pollution, and contributing to enhanced lake health and water quality within the local watershed. The scope of work that we had was to research and evaluate existing drainage patterns, produce calculations based upon different scenarios, so flash flooding, rainfall, that sort of thing. Prepare GIS files, mostly around the existing drainage within Bonfield. Create visual and plan-based information, propose potential solutions based upon green infrastructure and low impact development solutions. Science communication friendly materials, research and summarize potential funding opportunities, and prepare a final report which summarizes the project, key issues and opportunities, and a final wrap up with a presentation to council.
Okay. Any questions?
No, great report.
That's good. Yeah, it was a good
Yeah,
report.
really good report.
Moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor Clark, the council accepts the report as an introduction to the University of Waterloo's Capstone Future Cities Project, and the council authorizes staff to submit an application to participate in the initiative, seeking research-based support for a multidisciplinary project entitled Stormwater and Resilient Green Infrastructure Study within the subject area, broadly defined as the hamlet of Bonfield. And if an application to participate in the program is successful, the council will receive a presentation plus a final report which summarizes the key issues, constraints, and opportunities within approximately 8 months following the start of the project, which is expected to commence May 2025. All in favor? Carried. Number 8, there's no adoption of committee minutes. Number 9, next we have the town hall meeting materials. So we have the draft bylaw 2025-09 to amend comprehensive bylaws for trailers. Moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor Featherstone, that council receives the documents for the town hall meeting and that staff present present the documents at the March 18, 2025 town hall meeting. And further, that council will receive comments from the public during the open meeting for the proposed zoning bylaw. And further, that council will receive comments on the trailer and short-term rental bylaws, provided submissions are provided to the clerk by noon on March 17, 2025. All in favor? Carry. Next, we have the draft bylaw 2025-10 to amend bylaw 2018-06 for trailers. Well, it was all in this one motion.
One motion for
Draft
all.
bylaw 2025 to amend comprehensive bylaw, accessory structures, hunt camps, additional dwelling units. Draft bylaw 2025-16 to license the use of trailers. Draft bylaw 2025-17 to license short-term rentals. And next we have the draft strategic plan and background report. So all of these are in this one motion,
Yes.
then, right? And you said if we had any question or we had something to ask, can council do that at this point? Or do we have to
You
wait?
can do it today. It was on the agenda for any last final comments. This is the strategic plan as well. That is the final one from when we've, the final draft from the discussions that we've had, and it's been put in the package, into this package. The background report as well. Our planning administrator did, I think, a great job summarizing how we got to the ideas in the strategic plan. So if on any of the bylaws, council has seen the bylaws, already moved and second a couple of them. So if there are any last minute or final comments prior to bringing them to the, I know you've already voted on the motion, but if there's any last minute things, then we can certainly discuss that today.
So we could just bring it to the
Prior to the town hall meeting to make sure that we're presenting at the town hall, or like these documents are the final documents that you.
from here now. There's nothing we can add to it.
You can delete
Yeah.
them. Yeah, you can add to them now.
Well, I would like to ask the question, there's nowhere in the trailer bylaw that there's no provisions, there is provisions for people that want to build homes, but they have to get their building permit, and then they're allowed to stay on the lot with a trailer, right? But if someone comes to their lot and for clearing, and you can't get your building permit until you have your septic permit. So if somebody comes in with their trailer and then we go in and say, you can't stay here unless you get your building permit. But at that point where they're trying to clear their property or figure out where they're going, because they purchased it, and figure out where they're going to put their septic, where they're going to put their house. And that, I would say they need a little bit of time to do that before they come in, get on the property and get their permit and get their, well, they have to do the septic, figure out where they're going to put their septic and get that first before you can get a building permit. And I'm just wondering if there's something in our bylaw that we could put to give the people coming in, to give them a certain amount of time to get their building permit and not kick them off the lot right away. Because there was someone down on Trunk Road where they wanted to build, but they didn't have a building permit. They didn't have a septic permit, and they didn't know where they were going to put it in the lot. So then they were told they had to get the trailer off the lot. And within 2 days, and finally the guy said, well, this is the only place I stay here. Like, there's not a lot of places here. So he ended up giving up. And I see that lot is still vacant. Nothing is there. So I'm wondering if there's some in the trailer bylaw that we're doing, if there's something that we could put in there that would provide for a person coming in to give them the time, say 30 days or whatever, give them the time to assess their property and figure out where they're going to put their home and put their septic, and give them that time before they get kicked off the property if they don't have a building permit or don't have their septic permit. And I'm just wondering if there's something that we could look at doing that to encourage the people to build their homes here rather than go away because they couldn't buy or get the building permit right away. And that's just, I don't know how we would word that, but even a specific time, 30 days or whatever, give them time to look over their lot and see what they're going to do with it.
So
Okay,
the instance that you were explaining probably occurred because currently you can't have a trailer on a bylaw, on a property. So this bylaw will allow them to have a trailer on the property, but they have to have it licensed, right?
Yeah.
So if they are looking at where if they have to clear the land to be able to determine where to put the septic and stuff, I'm not sure 30 days is enough time for them to do that, but they could apply for the license if it's going to be a great deal of time, or they can put in their house application, and then the chief building official knows, and we know through the bylaw, that they are working on getting their house application. So they could do all of these things concurrently.
but when they get the building permit, then they don't have to have a permit, right?
They don't need a license, correct?
Or a
So
license, yeah.
if they put the application in with their house plans, and then they're working, like, so when they put their house plans in, they need to know a lot of that information that's in there. But 30 days is probably not enough time for someone to clear their land to be able to determine where's the septic and where's everything is going. I absolutely understand what you're saying, but they have the option of getting the license now, so that they can have a trailer. So this bylaw opens it up a lot to have that, but I can speak to the CBO to see what is typical for when someone comes in to have the initial conversation. Sometimes it's a year or two before, and they say, I'm building a house and I just want to go and clean it, or clear the land or do something. So sometimes that's 1 or 2 years. So
Well,
I don't know how to balance that.
in that case, then if their intention is to build, and then possibly they could get a refund on just get a license and get a refund when they purchase their building permit and get their septic permit. It's to encourage not having vacant land if, when people come here and want to build.
You can't get your license without a septic.
That's right.
Well, it's you could get a class 1 or class
Right.
4, yes.
Yeah, you can have an outhouse,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, but just to be clear, currently, no trailer is allowed
On any
anywhere,
property.
Mhm.
anywhere. So this really opens it up.
Yeah, I understand that, but I was just
Yeah,
thinking
no,
it
it's a good idea. I
to
think it's a good
discourage, he was discouraged and he left
idea.
and
Mhm, I think the
could have
refund
had a
is,
house.
yeah, I think the refund is a good idea. Yes, yeah.
So do you want me to add a clause for a refund into the?
If a building permit is obtained within the year of the license?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay,
I'll add that.
thanks. Okay, we have a request for donation. And moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor McGinnis. Whereas the St. Bernadette Parish has submitted a donation request application in support of their annual 50/50 ticket draw, be it hereby resolved that council approves a donation. It's not pecuniary. The donation of,
What do we typically do?
150 was the last one,
I sent it
You
in the
sent it,
email
yeah,
last.
so-
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I missed it.
right? Yeah,
Okay.
150,
Yeah.
if that's what we've typically
yeah,
done.
that's what we did
150?
in the
Yeah.
past, yeah. And they filled out the form and everything.
yes, yeah, it's included in your
Yeah,
package.
yeah. We'll just go with what they,
all in favor? Carried. And then we have the Bonfield Agricultural Society donation request, moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor Corbett. Whereas the Bonfield Agricultural Society has submitted a donation request application to sponsor the children's activities at the Bonfield Fall Fair. Be it hereby resolved that council approves a donation of
How much would we typically done?
200.
200?
on that one.
Yeah, but it's the 135th and like it's 135 years.
Whew.
So I mean,
$135?
I mean, I agree. I like the $500 donation for the
Yeah,
135 years.
that's
that
pretty
the request?
spectacular.
Yeah.
yeah.
500?
Yeah, I mean, we're always under on our donations because we wanted to keep it local.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
So-
fine by me.
That's local.
So everybody's good with the 500?
yeah, I like that.
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have the library board minutes. And then we have, this is correspondence. And Northumberland County, Canadian and Ontario governments negotiations with the United States government on trade tariffs. Township of Archipelago response to tariff threats, support Canadian business and consumers. Next, City of Toronto Buy Local by Canadian campaign, Township of Champlain, Canada Metal Processing Group, US tariff threats steel sector. Then we have Town of LaSalle tariffs on Canadian production. And then Coleman Township improvements to Highway 11 and 17. So that's the motion for the correspondence. Moved by Councillor McGinnis, second by Councillor Clark, that council receives the correspondence circulated with the agenda of March the 11th, 2025. All in favor? Carried. No closed session. And next we have confirmatory bylaw, moved by Councillor Park, second by Councillor Corbett, that the council for the Township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2025-18 to confirm the proceedings of council from February 25th, 2025 to March the 11th, 2025, as presented and is considered read 3 times and passed this 11th day of March 2025. All in favor? Carried. And then moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor Park, that the meeting be adjourned at
7:38.
7:38. 38. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much and good night, everybody.